So there's a lot of talk, but the breakdown is those are my top 5. It matches up with CBS, not in the right order. But there we have it, ladies. There's my early front runner. MVP the NFL based on the numbers. What do you think?
I don't know about you, but I look forward to the breakdown with Kate. What we got?
This week, if Delilah, you just want to run my picture the whole time during my segment, you can. It's fine with me. But we're going to talk about the NFL playoff picture as of week 13. Because right now we have 5-6 games left of the season. So we're almost done. We're getting to playoffs, baby. It's getting there. The nitty-gritty's getting there. And so as of right now in the AFC, you have the Chiefs that are at the top with an 11-1 record. And they're leading the AFC pretty handedly. They've had a very good season so far. So they get to sit back and watch what the wild card does. But right now they still need to play the Chargers, the Browns, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Broncos, who are all doing very, very well and are in the playoff hunt as well, as you can see. So they've kind of got a semi-hardish road the rest of the season. We will see what happens with the Kansas City Chiefs the rest of the way. We'll see how well the refs help them out the rest of the way, in my opinion. But they kind of have a hard look at the rest of the way. But the Broncos right now are at 7, would take on the number 2 Buffalo Bills. That is one of the first predicted wild card games, which that would be pretty interesting. Watching your massive, almost going to be married piece of magic, and watching the young Bo Nix, as we just talked about, as a contender for Rookie of the Year, go against each other. And right now, the Broncos have a semi-hardish, challenging rest of their season. They still need to play the Colts, the Chargers, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. So they kind of have a rough road ahead of them, the Colts being probably their easiest win right now. So that'll be interesting where they end up, knowing that's the remaining schedule that they have. The Bills, by far, out of all the teams in contention for the playoffs, have the easiest route to the playoffs, except for maybe their game on December 15th versus the Lions. Because they have the Rams, the Lions, the Patriots, the Jets, and the Patriots. So they still have to do their home and away game against the Patriots, but they have a really easy road for the rest of the season. So barring anything happening with the Chiefs, I see the Bills having no problem holding on to that number 2 spot in the AFC unless something happens with the Chiefs. But we'll see what happens there. So looking at the next game that is already predicted, you have the Steelers versus the Ravens. What a battle of the AFC North right there, playing each other. That is a dynamite rivalry. The Steelers have already beat them once this year. So that'll be interesting to watch to see what happens with Lamar versus Russell. So right now, the Ravens would still need to play the Giants, the Steelers, the Texans, and the Browns. So not too bad. I mean, fairly easy route, but not as easy as the Bills. The Steelers and the Texans are right now still looking to be in the playoffs. So we will see where they end up. But Lamar needs to really play a lot tougher and stronger. Harbaugh needs to come together with a better game plan. But anyway, because they're at a 6 seed, and that's not usual for the Ravens. They're a little more up there. But you have the Steelers that still need to play the Browns, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Bengals. So they have a semi-hardish rest of the way to get to the playoffs right now as well. I see hard games being the Eagles. The Eagles are really going full force right now in the NFC East. The Ravens are in playoff contention. You got the Chiefs that are at the top of the AFC and the Bengals that are struggling but can also be a heartbreaker as well. And then you move on to the hunt of the Chargers versus the Texans. You have another Harbaugh that took a very minimal, wasn't playing well Chargers team now with a fifth seed in playoff contention. And they have a somewhat challenging rest of the season as well, with needing to play the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Raiders. So the Chiefs and probably being in the Broncos being their most challenging. The Buccaneers can be a spoiler at any moment. And then they have the Patriots and the Raiders. So we'll see how the Chargers do. But, I mean, you had Justin Herbert struggling to make the playoffs and do well in the playoffs. And now he's looking to go to the playoffs. And what a perfect coach for him to have in Jim Harbaugh to get them to be where they're at today. Did I have any doubts as a Michigan fan? No. Then you have the Texans that still need to play the Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens, and Titans. So the Ravens, Chiefs, and Dolphins all being challenging games that could shake up the playoff contentions right now. So we'll see what happens down in Houston with them. Hopefully they won't have a problem and make it, because C.J. Stroud's been doing a great job leading that team with Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs and all of their defense with Will Anderson Jr. So they've had a really good run so far. And in the hunt, on the outside looking in right now, you have the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals. So even though the Bengals are struggling, the Dolphins didn't win up in Green Bay. And you have the whole quarterback debacle in Indianapolis of who's going to play. It's going to be Richardson. Is it going to be Flacco? Who's it going to be? So anyway, that is your AFC picture. I will hurriedly go through the NFC picture to keep the show on the road. You have my Detroit Lions at the top of the NFC at 11-1. They still need to play. They're playing the Packers tonight right now. Not the game I was expecting, but it is what it is. They still need to play the Packers tonight, the Bills, the Bears, the 49ers, and the Vikings. They definitely have a hard road the rest of the season with that schedule, and especially with how many nagging injuries we have and how many players are out right now on IR. So who knows what that's going to look like. And then you go into an NFC East showdown with the Commanders versus the Eagles, which that could be amazing to watch if the season were to end now. Because right now the Eagles are on a tear in the NFC East. They're 10-2 right now. They started that season kind of shaky. We didn't know where it was going to go. Hurts had just lost his star center and Jason Kelsey and the primary piece of that tush push. So you have all of these changes for the Eagles, and right now they have a decent road to the end of the season. They only have to play the Steelers, the Panthers, the Commanders, your Cowboys, and the Giants. So not terribly hard, not terribly challenging. So it could be a very good competition for the Lions if the Lions don't finish strong to take over that top spot in the NFC. So you have two teams, both in the AFC and the NFC, looking to unseed the top seed.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty fun to watch. And then you have Sean's Commanders. Woo! From number something. Let's go. And they still need to play, but they have kind of a hardish look at it. They still have to play the Saints, the Eagles, the Falcons, and the Cowboys. And the Eagles and the Falcons both being in the playoff hunt.
Right.
Your Cowboys can do anything with Mr. CMU, the Rush, and in the middle of any day, you never know what's going to happen. Nicole Saints could come in and go, slow your roll, like the Saints are marching in. So anyway, so that's that wild card look right now. And then you go to the Packers versus the Seahawks. You still have the Seahawks out there with Mr. Geno Smith and Mr. Kenny Walker from MSU still stirring it up in the NFC West. I mean, and you have the Packers that are still playing very well this year. That NFC North has been very competitive.
Yep.
They have the Lions game tonight. They have to play the Seahawks. They still have to play the Saints. They play the Vikings and the Bears. So that's the remaining schedule for them. So it's kind of hardish when you think that the Seahawks, the Vikings are in the playoff hunt right now. And then you have the Seahawks who still have to play the Cardinals, the Packers, the Vikings, the Bears, and the Rams. So not super hard, but not super easy either. So they have a decent rest of the way. And then you have the Vikings versus the Anthony's Falcons in the playoff hunt. Anthony, Mr. Kirk Cousins, pretty boy. And then you have the Vikings with Sam Darnold, who's been amazing. We didn't think this was going to happen since J.J. McCarthy went down early in the season. But the Vikings have to play the Bears, the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Lions. All teams in the playoff hunt right now. They have a very hard road to keep that record where it's at and keep the playoff vibes alive in Green Bay, in Minnesota. And then you have Anthony's Falcons, who only have to play the Vikings, Raiders, Giants, Commanders, and Panthers. He's got a not
favorable schedule. Favorable.
So Anthony, go Falcons. And so there is your NFC playoff wild card look right now within the hunt, being the Buccaneers, Cardinals, Rams, and 49ers. Look on the outside, looking in. So there is the breakdown of the early Week 13 playoff predictions with 5 to 6 games per team left based on their bye weeks. So let's keep watching, keep our eyes open, our ears tuned in to see which teams that I've mentioned could drop off, which teams on the hunt could get in, and where things end up. Will the AFC end with the Chiefs at the top? Will the NFC end with the Lions at the top? So, ladies and gentlemen, there is the breakdown.
Let's go! What a way to break it down. As she said, you never know where it's going to go next week. It could switch, it could flip, things could happen. So stay tuned for our girl Kate's breakdown